Hey guys, welcome to the Mr. Long Show. It is June 2nd, 2020. Today we're going to be talking about tobacco and nicotine products. We're just going to do a little bit of a background and a history on it, really. I know most people would probably tell me that no one really smokes cigarettes anymore. At least that's what a lot of kids say, maybe even think in high school. And of course, vaping and e-cigarettes is more of the issue now, but I think it's good for you guys to know a little bit about the history of tobacco and nicotine products. So I'll go quick through this video. You could rewatch it if you want to. I'll attach the slideshow and basically give you guys all the answers that you're going to need for today's quiz on tobacco. Okay, so we just had this past weekend, and there was a lot going on in the news, but May 31st, which was Sunday, was World No Tobacco Day. So this kind of coincidentally kind of goes along with that. So objectives for today, guys: you'll be able to identify several different types of tobacco and nicotine products, describe past and current trends in tobacco and nicotine use, identify at least 3 harmful ingredients in tobacco, and we'll clarify some common facts and myths. So first of all, we know that nicotine is the addictive drug in tobacco. I don't think anyone debates that, so I'll go quick through this. But there was a study done on rats, and it even showed that exposure to secondhand smoke created a level of nicotine dependence. All right, if you go back to the 1960s, even before that, almost half of all, in this case, well, if you're looking at adults, the green line there, almost half of adults used to smoke in the United States. Again, even if you go back to the 1950s, I think it was slightly more than half. And of course, over time, we learn more about it. We learn more about the long-term effects of things, and these numbers drastically reduced. I mean, if you go back to the 1960s, there are even doctors that were part of tobacco advertising. There weren't as many restrictions in advertising. There weren't as many laws about where you could smoke, where you couldn't smoke. Just ask your parents, or if you're lucky enough to have grandparents still around, ask your grandparents about tobacco use and where people used to be able to smoke. You'll be shocked. Of course, tobacco companies started losing money, and what they did was they definitely increased the price. And just to go through real quick, back in the 1950s, for example, it was 24 cents for a pack of cigarettes. And if you look at the taxes coming in at 12 cents, and you could just check the price of 47 cents in the 1970s, $1.93 in the 1990s, $3.94 in the year 2000, with tax coming in at $1.39 per pack. And if you're looking at today, we're talking like, you see this around in stores and stuff probably, but you're talking like around $10. They say that New York City has the highest price for a pack of cigarettes probably in the whole country. Nicotine, again, the addictive drug, it comes from a plant. All right, tobacco is naturally has nicotine in it. All right, so let's just say it's not something that has to be made in a lab or anything like that. Just dried up tobacco leaves naturally has nicotine in it. All right, so just to go through the different types of products and show you guys some pictures. Of course, you have cigarettes, cigars, these hookah pipes, a regular pipe, chewing tobacco, which people might stuff in their cheek or in their lip. All right, really takes damage on the oral cavity, the mouth, the teeth, the tongue, the gums. We have a lesson coming up called The Great Tobacco Gross Out, so I'm going to get more into this stuff, but I want you to understand all these different products that have nicotine. This is something called snus, which is kind of like chewing tobacco, but since it's in a little bag, you don't have to constantly spit like you do when you have chewing tobacco. So the idea was that now that there are more and more places where you can't smoke indoors, and maybe if you're in like a professional setting or something like that and you were addicted to nicotine, you could still get your nicotine fix through snus. All right, it's not too common, but it is sold at stores around here. Then of course, electronic cigarettes comes out and is basically, sometimes these are called ENDS, electronic nicotine delivery system, and they come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. Hookah pens in there too, vape pens in there too. We'll get into that over the next couple lessons. All different products coming out to look sleek and slick and kind of blend in with cell phones and flash drives and all that. I'm sure you guys heard of Juul. We'll be talking about that for sure too. Even some tobacco companies like Camel going as low as trying to make their products look like candy. They sold fresh breath strips and like little Tic Tac looking things, but they did have nicotine in them, and they were delivering nicotine, which again is the addictive drug found in tobacco products. So there's nicotine. Tar, which is created by smoke, is a thick, oily, dark liquid that forms when tobacco burns, and that is known to have a lot of carcinogens or cancer-causing chemicals. So the big argument is that vaping doesn't have tar, so you're less likely to get cancer. That's the idea anyway. We don't know a whole lot about the long-term effects because a lot of these vaping products haven't been around that long. Okay, carbon monoxide, a poisonous odorless gas produced when tobacco burns. That really takes its toll on the cardiovascular system. We'll be seeing some pictures on that in the next couple days. Other ingredients, you might have heard there's something like over 400 chemicals in tobacco. A lot of them are put in there to increase the impact of nicotine. All right, so I'll just shoot through the true false, and then you guys will be ready for today's quiz that you can find over in the classwork section. So cigarette smoking among high school students has been on the rise over the past 50 years. You guys should know that that's false. There was a little bit of an increase in the late 90s, but it came down. And then if you look at the chart that goes all the way to 2014, you'll see it continues to come down. And then although numbers overall have been decreasing, 13.7% of Americans over age 18 are still smoking. That is true. And they say 34 million Americans still smoke in this country. Some risk factors, they say men are more likely to smoke than women, adults aged 25 to 64, people of a lower education level, people that live below poverty level, and people from the Midwest and South. Over 400,000 people die in the United States every year due to tobacco use. That is true, as indicated here by the CDC. Number 4, tobacco use can cause withdrawal symptoms such as decreased appetite, headaches, irritability, insomnia, and nervousness. That is true. All electronic cigarettes and associated products are regulated by the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. That's actually false, and I found some info online that basically showed that they pushed the date back to August 8th, 2021 of when the Food and Drug Administration is actually going to step in and start regulating these e-cigarette products. So it's pretty sad that it's not done yet, and it's not going to be done still for over a year. The legal age to purchase tobacco in the U.S. is 19. That is false. It is 21, and on December 20th, 2019, the president signed legislation saying that the federal law is now going to be 21, so it's 21 in all states. Tobacco companies have invested in and even bought companies that make e-cigarettes. That is true. Philip Morris, known as one of the big tobacco companies, actually bought a large share of the company Juul. They own about 35% of the Juul company. Tobacco stains teeth and causes bad breath. That is true. You cannot die from secondhand smoke. That is false. I thought this was pretty interesting. They said, and by they I mean the CDC, said that since 1964, 2.5 million non-smokers have died from health problems resulting from secondhand smoke. And then finally, number 10, the long-term effects of vaping do not cause health problems. Sorry, that's cut off there. And that is definitely false. All right, there was a big wave of people that were actually dying from, they called it EVALI, electronic cigarette and vaping associated lung injury, I believe is the whole acronym there. But yeah, we'll talk more about that later. There's all the answers. So if you made it this far, there's all the answers to the quiz on number 10. Oh yeah, number 10's on there. 10 is false. Any questions, let me know. Good luck. Thanks, guys.